Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, February the 1st. It's a brand new month today underway, and another big Saturday NHL slate upon us, though not nearly as large a slate as most Saturdays. 9 games today, and wouldn't you believe it, for a change, we've got a balanced weekend of NHL hockey. 9 games today, 9 games tomorrow on Sunday, which is a rarity. So excited to see nice balanced schedule makers finally growing a brain, getting a clue. That's always good to see. Ian Cameron, Ryan Robinson with us here again. He's been on Saturdays quite a bit with us this season. And Alex B. Smith will be with us momentarily. He's just waiting for his computer to update. Let's get into, first of all, Friday, the recap of last night. And really, it was the Nashville-Buffalo game that was going to make or break the night for me. I mean, we had quite a few bets involved in that game as far as first period over. The full game over was the show best bet. We cashed both of those. It's now a 6-game streak to the first period over now for Nashville after last night. And the Buffalo Sabres get themselves a 4-3 win. We split the team totals. I took team totals on both teams. I took Nashville over 3.5. I took Buffalo over 2.5. We got the Buffalo team total, at least, as that game, as Buffalo gets the 4 goals and the win. Yuri Kulik was a goal prop of mine, so it was great to see him score, not once, but twice. He gets the game winner as well with just over 2 minutes to go. That line with him, Tage Thompson, and JJ Peterka has been really strong. Sabres got the early lead. It was, of course, Rob Ray ceremony night. His induction into the Buffalo Sabres Hall of Fame was a very nice ceremony. It was very disappointing to see the building was empty when that ceremony started. But again, they started at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You know, what do you expect? I think the organizers, it's not like the Sabres are not accustomed to screwing things up, but, you know, you probably should have started the ceremony at 7 and delayed the game until 7:30 or 8 when it was over. I mean, it's just, you know, that's a problem on a Friday night to get to the arena, no matter what city or town it is, by 6 p.m. So a bit of a mistake there. And I know Mike Harrington, the great scribe and writer and beat writer for the Sabres, mentioned that it was just bad that they started it so early. But it was still a nice night. A lot of old alum in the building to celebrate Ray's induction into the Buffalo Sabres Hall of Fame. And Buffalo gets a win on the special night, 4-3 against the Nashville Predators. And just when we're getting excited about Nashville and they're starting to go on a bit of a run, and here they go now, 3 straight losses to Anaheim, Vancouver, and Buffalo to kind of turn the momentum in the opposite direction. Dallas Stars, 5-3 win against Vancouver. I'll say this, if Vancouver plays that way most nights moving forward, obviously, you know, they're going to be a tough team to play. And, of course, the headline story last night, the trade of JT Miller to the New York Rangers. It had to happen eventually, and it happened last night. Of course, Philip Hedl, Mancini, a prospect, going the other way to the Vancouver Canucks in that game. But for Vancouver, it was interesting to see how are they going to come out there with just the trade happening a little over an hour before puck drop of that Canucks Stars game. I thought they played pretty well, really well. In fact, they carried the play for much of it against Dallas. But what cost the Vancouver Canucks in that game? Mistakes. You know, bad penalty leads to a Jason Robertson power play goal. A bad pinch, you know, when Vancouver was just caught pressing a little too much, results in a Rope Hintz breakaway the other way, and he puts it through the 5-hole of Thatcher Demko. Just those little mistakes that you can't make against a good team. And the Canucks ended up paying the price for it. And otherwise, they played a pretty solid game, but they do end up on the losing end of it, 5-3. I don't know how the hell that game ended 5-3. It ended up, that was your final score, because it was like 3-1 Dallas, you know, with like 5 minutes to go. It's a tough beat for the under bettors, and it was a brutal beat for the Vancouver. If anyone had it, Vancouver team total under 2.5. That is horrific to lose that. My goodness, the third goal in the final seconds of that game. But Dallas gets the win, 5-3, and a sign of a good team. You know, that you're able to win when you don't play your best necessarily. There's rumblings courtesy of Kevin Weeks that Michael Granlund is of interest right now to the Dallas Stars, discussing a potential trade with the San Jose Sharks for his services. And I think it's probably going to happen because I don't think sometimes I believe in these weird things that happen that lead to something. Matt Robinson, of course, Dallas Stars fan, uses Michael Granlund as a bargain bin special earlier this week on the show. So it's almost like it's got to happen now. Michael Granlund's got to end up in Dallas as a member of the Stars. We'll see if that trade does come to fruition. Colorado, absolute beatdown over St. Louis. It was basically 4-0 after the first. They jumped on the Blues. They were all over them. They get the 4 goals. What a night for Drouin. And if Jonathan Drouin can wake up and play like he did last night, that's huge for Colorado moving forward. They need him to play well. Can't all be, and Marty Necas gets his first goal with the Avs last night. It was a great performance from Colorado there. They took it to the Blues right away. Blues are in a slide right now. Their first extended losing streak, really, since Jim Montgomery took over as head coach. But Colorado, just a complete and utter thumping, 5-0 over the St. Louis Blues last night and they needed it. Maybe getting home was a good thing for them. They've now had time to digest the departure of Mikko Rantanen. And I think the fact that the guy they got in return gets his first goal, that's certainly going to take away some of the tension. It's almost like Marty Necas now. He's one of us now that he gets his first goal with the Avalanche last night. And I saved the best for last because I can't look. Does Utah stink at home this season? Absolutely they do. But that doesn't take away from just the unbelievable, incredible job that the Columbus Blue Jackets did last night. You know how brutal that spot is? You're coming off Vegas the night before. Who knows what they did after the game when they won in overtime? And you play the very next night in the altitude of Salt Lake in Utah. You're down 2-0 in that game early in the third. Could have easily said in that thin air environment, altitude, all that, back to back on the road, tough spot. Not our night, boys. Let's just play this one out and move on to the next one. They didn't do that, this team. It's an unbelievable show of determination. It's an unbelievable show of no quit, just never giving up. And they got that Marchenko goal to make it 2-1. Right away, you could tell it woke Columbus up. It got them going because they really started to play some pretty good hockey after that. They then get the tying goal from Kent Johnson, who's been terrific, 2-2. And then at that point in time, I said, I got to jump on Columbus live, and I did. Now, I didn't get a great price, plus 140 at the time after they had tied it, but I said, they're going to win this game. We just saw Utah lose at home against Pittsburgh in overtime on Wednesday night. And sure enough, Columbus does win in overtime. And what a beautiful goal it was. Finished off by Zach Werenski. 3-way passing play. Made Vejmelka look silly. And a 3-2 overtime win for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are in the top wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference right now. What a back-to-back pair of victories for them on the road. Incredible work by them. Remember, they still don't have Sean Monahan. They still don't have Boone Jenner, their captain. They still have some significant pieces out of the lineup. It's just been a great job by Dean Evison, who he's not really getting mentioned much for Coach of the Year, Jack Adams discussion. I don't think he's going to win it because I think the slam dunk surefire number one is Carberry right now for the Washington Capitals. But Dean Evison deserves credit and certainly recognition for the job he's doing with Columbus. What a job by this team. Unreal. Back-to-back wins, Vegas. And I'm not a big Tarasov guy, and even he played okay. So we'll see how it goes. And don't look now, Ryan. The Jackets are headed to your Dallas Stars on Sunday. It ain't going to be an easy game the way Columbus is playing right now. There's no doubt. Alex B. Smith with us now. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw for Friday?
Yeah, a couple interesting things. The biggest takeaway was, and I mentioned it on the show yesterday, I warned everyone. I said that Colorado-St. Louis game seemed really tricky. And I said, this could be the game where Colorado gets the offense rolling. And they did in a huge way. 4 goals in that first period. And like you said, it was pretty much over with at that point. Ended up getting the 5th one later, but just an easy win for them. And like you mentioned, the Dallas-Vancouver game, it was much closer than that final score indicates. Like I said, it was 3-1. And at that point, you can kind of tell it seemed like it was a back-breaking goal for those of us who had to draw. It seemed like this game, if it was going to get out of hand, but it seemed like somebody was going to win in regulation. Sure enough, you get the goals back and forth late. But that was pretty much all Dallas. Like you said, this is what good teams do. This is why we see Dallas and Colorado at the top of the division, at the top of the conference year after year rather than the bottom, because they find ways. When we talk about this is that week, that stretch of time where good teams grit out and find ways to win games and make it easy on themselves in the sense of Colorado. And even, like I said, in Dallas, that was a fairly easy game. But then you have games like Columbus and Utah where He said Columbus is just a feisty, scrappy team that, as a dog, we can take shots on any given night. And then, we said, Utah at home, just a bad team, and can't figure out why that's the case, why they can't string it together. But to blow that lead, lose in overtime, that's just it's rough. And obviously the fans there, they're just happy to have a team. It's the first year, but you certainly don't want to make this the new tradition in Utah, losing games at home. This is going to have to turn around sooner than later, if not in the season. But like I said, you don't want to make this the new tradition. You finally got a place to play. Act like you got some fans and show up for your fans. I'm calling Utah out to win a fucking home game in easy, dominant fashion at some point between now and, if it's not during now and the break, after the break at some point. You need to stand and deliver with a good effort at home.
I'm happy I jumped on them live when it was 2-2 after they tied it, the Blue Jackets. I'm so pissed I didn't bet them pregame. And the reason, but I had to stay off at pregame. When you see a team that was 0-7, which, and by the way, that make that loss even worse for Utah.
Right.
Yeah, they let a team that hasn't won a single game on a back-to-back this year beat them and come back from a 2-0 deficit as well to beat them.
A team that was getting crushed in the second leg of back-to-backs. Because they were just not they were losing. They were losing by a wide margin in every one of those 7 games. And then, like I said, having a multi-goal deficit. And, that's just as bad as it gets right there.
Yeah, there's no more Utah. And look, I actually ended up betting pregame their team total over 3.5 just because I thought, look, Columbus has given up 4 goals in every game on a back-to-back. And thankfully, we minimized some of that damage by taking Columbus live. Yeah, and another thing, too, for Utah. That's it for me with them last night for now. No Cooley. No Gunther, no Ian Cameron betting Utah. It's that simple until they get one or both of those guys back, because that's so much of their offense right now. Cooley and Gunther being out is devastating, and they just don't have enough to back them up when they're out of the lineup as far as offensive production. Ryan, good to have you with us. So what did you think of last night?
Yeah, it wasn't a huge slate, but there's definitely some interesting games I was interested in. I was on that over in that Buffalo-Nashville game with you guys, so that was nice. I had Colorado team total, and then I didn't have anything in the game, but I was excited to see Utah and Columbus. I always like watching Donor play. Obviously, you guys touched on it already, but Utah's been struggling at home, and Columbus, that was a nice comeback win for them. So I was pumped at the Stars game as well. No team has more wins in January, and no team has more points since Christmas break, given all the injuries that they've dealt with. And then now, the Granlund rumor and the potential trades that Jim Nill's going to be making. I just think they're in a solid spot, and it was fun to see him take that one. One of my good buddies on my team is from Vancouver and a diehard Canucks fan, and he told me as soon as he saw the JT Miller stuff that the Stars were going to kind of take it to Vancouver, and I wasn't so sure, but sure enough, they found a way to win, and that's what good teams do. And so as a Stars fan, it was good to see. And so it was a pretty short night, not a ton of bets, but I was happy with how it turned out.
Well, he was wrong about they'll take it to Vancouver, because they really didn't, but they won, and that's all that's all that matters in the end. And Dallas getting that win there last night. And like I said, we got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about when it comes to Saturday's slate. By the way, anything you guys want to add, Alex, especially about the JT Miller trade? Is there anything you wanted to add about that? Nothing?
No, not really. I mean, it's obviously a move that needed to happen with Vancouver. And then, of course, they go on to make another move where they bring in another Pettersson, Marcus Pettersson.
To mention that one. Marcus Pettersson trade with Pittsburgh. The 3 fucking Petterssons on the team. Elias Pettersson, Elias Pettersson 1, Elias Pettersson 2, and now Marcus Pettersson.
So I don't know how they're going to figure that out jersey wise. It's gonna be, you're running out of a lot of letter space, and you can't throw in the same name. So it'll be interesting to see. But jokes aside, though, Vancouver trying to keep things afloat, right? Like, they're not just selling, they're not necessarily buying and moving up. They're just trying to figure out what the hell is going on and kind of cut the cancer out of the room, for lack of a better term. If Miller was the issue, all right, now we shipped him off. Now, this is Elias Pettersson 1's team, essentially. Can he carry this group, moving forward? And then can they try and get, stay afloat and get into this wild card race? I think it's going to be tough. There's other teams in the West that I like more. And I think Team Vancouver's still going to find their way to be out of the postseason race at some point. But like I said, it's a move that needed to happen. And for JT Miller, maybe, going back to New York, the team that drafted him, maybe he can invigorate some change and something different there as well. I don't know. It just remains to be seen.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. It's definitely Quinn Hughes' team. There's no question about that. I think today, and we'll talk about that when we get to Rangers Bruins. I think for today, you will see the Rangers play with extra adrenaline juice here in this game with and JT Miller's playing today, making his debut. So I think for at least today, it'll give him a boost. How well they play with him, weeks and months, moving forward. In the next weeks and months remains to be seen. But I think for now, they needed something to jolt them a little bit, the Rangers, because they had started to win again, and now they kind of fallen back the last few games. And now this JT Miller time, I think from a timing standpoint, actually happens at a decent time here for the New York Rangers. And it'll be interesting to see with him making his Rangers debut, how it goes for not only him but the team today when they take on Boston. But before we get there, we've got the first game of the day, which is the first of a doubleheader on ABC. Their Hockey Saturday is back, of course. Chicago and Florida. We have a late scratch in the broadcast booth here. There's supposed to be Bob Wischusen calling this game, but he's ill. And Buchagras now is going to fill in for him. But it's Chicago and Florida. Florida Panthers minus 440, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. There's a lot that I'm going to get into here. I am tracking a new system. I don't know how good it's going to do. I don't know how well it's going to perform. But when we're talking a minus 300 or minus 400 home favorite, I'm looking at the opponent, the big underdog in some form in the first period, and specifically to score a goal in the first period is what I'm looking at. Because I find that this is something that makes sense, especially if the big favorite's off a win like Florida is shutting out LA in their last game. That you come into this game a little feeling good. You got underestimate the opponent a little bit, and the other team, loose as a goose and comes in there and maybe jumps on the big favorite early. And it's funny, I used this theory with Chicago. They were in this quote unquote system. Huge underdog against a minus 300, minus 400 favorite against Carolina. And I used this system. Let's take Chicago to score a goal in the first period of that game. And they did. They tied it very late in the first period against Carolina. So I'm going to be on it again. Now, it's funny that the first two instances and iterations of this system that I'm testing both involve Chicago. But that's just the way it's turned out. I'm going to take a shot with Chicago here. Minus 104 in the first period to just score a goal. That's it. Chicago to score a goal in the first period, minus 104 at Pinnacle. And we have some decent series history, Panthers, Blackhawks, to indicate that maybe Chicago can strike early in the first 20 minutes. The last 4 head-to-head meetings, including the last 2 here in Florida, Chicago has scored in the first period, believe it or not. So they have actually gotten on the board quickly and early. In each of the last 4 head-to-heads versus Florida, including the last 2 here in Sunrise at Amarant Bank Arena. And remember, these are all Paul Maurice Florida teams, these last 4 head-to-head meetings between the Blackhawks and the Panthers. So I think it's a good bet. I'm also going to dabble in the plus half a goal, minus 115, Chicago first period. Tie cashes your ticket there in the first period. So those 2 bets for a little bit. I got a little more on them to score at minus 104 first period. You obviously know what we're doing with the first period over. I don't even have to say it anymore. 16-2 to the first period over for the Chicago Blackhawks in their last 18 games. We're riding that son of a bitch until we can't no more right now. So 16-2 in the last 18 games. First period over, 1.5. In this game. Smaller on the over 5.5, but definitely more on the first period over. I do want to mention, too, we've seen overs full game in the last 2 in Florida as well with the Blackhawks and the Panthers. So first period over for a larger amount, full game over for a smaller amount. So it's an over bifecta, but skewed to the first period over. And that's about it. I don't mind Chicago team total either, but I just really want to isolate the first period because there has been some patterns of Chicago. Hot start, fading finish. It's happened to them quite a bit here the last few weeks. So Blackhawks to get a goal in the first, the plus half a puck in the first period on the puck line, I think is pretty solid. And then the over by Fecta with obviously more for me personally on the first period over. And one last thing, I also played a very small two-game gift parlay, 2-game goal in the first 10 minutes parlay for the 2 ABC games this afternoon. Blackhawks, Panthers, Bruins, Rangers. Goal in the first 10 minutes, both games at plus money. I think you got a good chance to cash that. I think there's a good chance we see a goal in the first 10 minutes in both ABC Saturday afternoon games. Alex, what do you think here? Chicago, Florida.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game to have. Like I said, an early start on ABC. I like of course, the first period over. That goes without saying. I grab that. You can get as low as minus 122 at FanDuel. Anything 130 or cheaper, I would play it now. You see 135s or higher, I would look to grab it, of course, a couple minutes into the contest. Full game over, I'm kind of staying away from because I think we could see some goals early. And like I said, this one kind of taper off, especially if Florida maybe jumps out to, like I said, a 2-1 lead early in the second, 3-1. Then they can kind of clamp down in this game and maybe sit on that lead. So I'm a little hesitant with the full game over. I will tell you on that Chicago to score in the first period, but I'm going to go a little bit further. Like I know you have the gift parlay, so I'm going to take Chicago to score in the first 10 minutes. You can get that plus 225 over at Bet Online. So I'm adding that with the first period over, Chicago to score in the first period, and just leaving it at that. Anything else I like, it would just be in game.
And that's another thing that makes this appealing about this bet and this system that I'm going to be tracking. And I'm going to be looking in this direction every single game moving forward with a minus 300 or greater favorite. That I'm going to look at the underdog to just score a goal in the first period. And you're going to get minus 120 or better pretty much at every sports book with the big underdog to score a goal in the first period. It won't be more than that. So this is definitely, I think there's legs to this. There's potential for this to be a long-term, viable, logical, winning, and profitable betting trend, betting angle, betting system, if you will. Minus 300 or minus 400 favorites taking the underdog to score in the first period. I think there's legs to this. We'll see how it does. Ryan, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Panthers.
Yeah, I like the goal in the first 10 with that you guys mentioned, as well as a Chicago goal to score first in the first period. Take small chances with those. I kind of honestly lean Chicago puck line plus 125-ish. Chicago's 5-0 against the spread in its last 5 games when playing Florida. But at the same time, Florida looks like it's 5-1 in their last 6 games against the spread. So it's kind of there's no real value for me with Florida, but I do like that look with Chicago early and then Florida to kind of come back late. So I also haven't checked. DraftKings will usually have like a team to win from behind or team to be up after the first period and who wins the full game. So I might take a look at that, see if there's any value with Chicago being up after the first period and Florida winning the full game. So I'm gonna take a look and see what that is. But other than that, don't have any player props or anything for this game.
The only one I have is Frankie Nazar for Chicago. It's the only one I took as far as a goal prop here in this game. My focus is really on all those sides and totals and period bets that I'm on here for this Chicago-Florida game. By the way, Peter Mrazek and Sergei Bobrovsky in net. And we're happy at Sergei. Now, with the caveat here that Sergei Bobrovsky's on a roll right now. He's playing really, really good for Florida the last few games. But Jonathan Davis pointed out to us that Spencer Knight for the Florida Panthers, who might have gotten the start today. We thought maybe they would start him today with Florida playing Sunday against the New York Islanders, but they're going to use Knight in the Islander game on Sunday. With Spencer Knight in net, Florida in their last 6 games with Spencer Knight in net have gone 6-0 to the first period under. So it was going to be one of these deals where it's like a collision of forces here if Spencer Knight had been in net. 6-0 first period under with Florida with him in net versus the 16-2 first period over for Chicago. I don't care. The Chicago first period over would have still overridden it, in my opinion, even if Spencer Knight was in net. But we don't have to worry about that now because it's Sergei Bobrovsky getting the start here for Florida this afternoon. All right, the second ABC Saturday afternoon doubleheader game. New York Rangers, Boston Bruins. Rangers minus 125, road favorites, 6 the total. The debut of the New York Rangers debut of JT Miller. And hey, look who's here. It's nice to remember you call hockey for this network. Sean McDonough doing his first NHL game this season for ABC/ESPN. I think the Rangers are going to play with a great deal of juice, adrenaline. I think you're going to see a little energy boost just getting JT Miller there. Now, sometimes you bring the player in from the trade, you don't win that first game. But you're not playing a juggernaut. You're playing a struggling Bruins team that's not getting out of their own way right now. It's had a brutal week, losing to Winnipeg and Buffalo in back-to-back games this week. And Buffalo game was horrific. The Winnipeg game, they got it to 3-2, and then it just fell apart, and the roof caved in all over again. So, like I said, Bruins are just they're there. They're ripe for the picking right now. So I am on the Rangers here, -120. But that's the smallest bet of the bunch. I'm not going crazy with the Rangers here. It is still, you're trying to integrate a new team to the lineup, but I am going to take a shot with the Rangers here, -120. And what I like, too, is they've been stewing now off the shutout loss to Carolina since Tuesday. They've had this is important at this time of year. You've got to pay attention to these long breaks in the schedule where, a team's been off for 3 days like the Rangers. You don't have much downtime this time of year. So to get that time off, get yourself re-energized, I think definitely that's going to help the Rangers here. They've been off since Tuesday when they got blanked at home by Carolina. So that should help them out. So I'm going to take a shot as a small road favorite here with the Rangers, -120. I'm on the system play. I don't feel great about it because this Boston team, man, you never know how it's going to go with them as far as, their games. It could be 7-2 like Buffalo. It could be 6-2 like Winnipeg. It could be 2-1, 3-1 as well. So I'm going to go with still the over by Fecta here with Rangers Bruins. You just got to bet it. System's the system. It is still overall in the year, 56-37 first period over, and pretty good for the full game over too. So we're still going to go ahead with that. So Rangers and over by Fecta system play, obviously. Rangers off the 4-0 shutout loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. Alex, what do you think here? Rangers, Bruins.
Yeah, I'll be adding to this in game for the over by Fecta. So I'm seeing -135 of the 5.5 130s, 125 over first period. So I'll wait and try and grab those closer to plus money as possible. So liking both of those spots. Even aside, I would wait to try and grab in game because I think this could be maybe a kind of back and forth battle. It should be a fun one to watch. So definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how this one plays out here, Rangers and Bruins. These teams used to be top of the food chain in the Eastern Conference, so some of the shine has gone off it. But nevertheless, Rangers, Bruins, standalone game. We'll see how it goes. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Rangers, Bruins.
Yeah, I don't have a great feel. Sometimes I like to take a chance in these early games with like the first period over, just to have something going on. I'm kind of with Alex. I'll be looking live and wait a couple minutes and kind of see how it plays out. Something I do see, I'm gonna have to look at what his normal ice time is, but I see DraftKings has added JT Miller time on ice 18 minutes, and with how much it's his first game there, he had to travel a lot. Over and under is -115, so. I might take a shot at the under there. Decent value at -115. I'd have to look how much he was playing. Yeah, last few games for Vancouver, he played 16-20, 16-50, 19-40. So he's been under in 3 of the last 4 games. But especially with the travel and a new team, I don't expect they'll just throw him into the fire too much in this first game. So I might take a small shot on that. It's not something I bet on all the time, but it is kind of a interesting situation with him having to travel, be in the locker room with Vancouver yesterday in Dallas and then find out he's traded, hop on a plane, and he's playing less than 24 hours later. So that's something interesting prop I might take a small shot with.
Yeah, don't be throwing around stuff that's not true, Bailey. Bruins day games are always unders. They're 5 unders, 5 overs this year, Bruins day games. So Let's give accurate info in the chat. Let's make sure we do that. But yeah, 5 overs, 5 unders this season for Boston Bruins day games because I know Mikey had it in our group chat. Yeah, there it is. Bruins day games this season. They're 6-4 and 5-5 as far as overs unders in the 10 games. So flip a coin. Half of them have gone over, half of them have gone under. All right, next up, we've got as we move along to the evening games here, Minnesota and Ottawa. We've got, the rest of the games are at night. We've got Ottawa -140, home favorites in this game. The total 5.5 shaded to the under in this one. this is definitely, to me, just kind of fading Minnesota off the big night for Fleury. I know they're playing great. They've done yeoman's work on this road trip this week, beating Toronto, beating Montreal on the back-to-back, minus Kirill Kaprizov. I don't take anything away from them. They've done a great job. They are defending, and that travels. And, they defend that way again. They get the saves they need from Gustafsson. They can win this game. But, I just worry about, they put a lot into that game. They played a hell of a heavy game, just airtight defensively. Really wanted to get that game for Marc-Andre Fleury in Montreal, his final start there in his career. I just think maybe a little emotional letdown for them a little bit for Minnesota here. And who knows how much time they enjoyed partying after that win in Montreal the other night. We don't know what happened, but Montreal's a nice little nightlife place to be. You never know what happens. So meanwhile, they got Ottawa coming here off a nice overtime win against a very good Washington Capitals team. We've got the guy I prefer to back in net if I'm thinking of betting Ottawa, and that's Levi Marilainen right now for the Ottawa Senators. He's been very solid for them. We'll see how it goes. The Wild do have a good history against the Sens. I get it, Damon. It's a good point, but I'm still taking them here around minus 135, minus 140 on Ottawa. And this is an under for me, and I'm going to start being more aggressive. When I like an under, I'm not going to be chicken shit and say, well, I suck at unders. My ROI is horrible in my career with unders across all sports, so I'm not going to bet it. No, if an under makes sense, we're going to start betting it. And to me, this is an under or nothing, because Minnesota is just check, 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 check. They are playing almost like a neutral zone trap style here on this road trip in both games. You look at them, they are just not giving up much in the neutral zone. And Ottawa, meanwhile, I know the Ottawa game kind of or the Washington game versus Ottawa got high scoring, but you have to remember, we had Lindgren for Washington, who's by far the weaker goalie with them, and Forsberg, who is up and down like you can't believe. You don't know what you're going to get one game to the next with Anton Forsberg in net. So I think it gets back to, and Travis Green doesn't want Ottawa playing run and gun hockey right now. I think definitely this gets back for Ottawa to more of a tighter checking, lower scoring type of hockey. So it's an under lean for me for sure. Probably will bet it small. I'm not betting these unders big because, again, long term in all sports suck for me with unders. Terrible. Bad as it gets as far as a track record. But it's been better lately. We've hit a few. We hit Minnesota Montreal under the other night. We hit Anaheim Calgary under the other night. So we're starting to pull out of our little rut with those. So I do like this under, and I'm on Ottawa. Alex, what do you think here? Wild Senators.
I'm laughing at the comments in the chat with everybody going, "You're the new under king," and you betting unders, and it just makes me think too of how long we've known each other. Because I remember when we used to work at Sports Memo back in the day, you bet unders like regularly, and they would hit. And then all of a sudden,
then
you
I
went
got
on
a
this
cold streak in all sports. It was not just hockey either with the unders. Like football unders sucked, basketball unders stunk. It was every sport. And I'm
But
like,
particularly, I remember the stretch when it changed, when you just said you weren't betting. You were just pretty much a moratorium on unders in hockey specifically. But at one point in time, both of us would regularly bet unders when the game dictated under. When in the days of fives and 5.5 totals, when 6.5s and 7s were unheard of, you had to go back and forth, and we're in that time frame now where unders are viable. This is a perfect under game. 5.5 minus $1.15. I went under, but I also went one step further. The difference between back in the day and now is we have these new books that gives us all these great options. BetMGM, I always mention this, the parlay of a side and a total. I'm torn on this game because I like the draw here plus 320, but I did take some small sprinkles on Wild to win and under 6.5 goals plus 220. Senators to win and under 6.5 goals plus 155. So now if I'm at a game that's tied 1-1 or 2-2, I've now cashed under 5.5 and draw. And now I'm looking to cash my 6.5 parlay either side. You're giving me either Wild to win the game at plus 220 or Senators to win the game at plus 155. I think it's a great setup. It's just something I'm doing small to add on. But I like this game to go under, and I like to go past 60 minutes.
The draw too. Yeah, I don't mind that. By the way, I forgot to mention Chicago, Florida. Do you know that one of the last two games in Florida with those two were 4-3, and one of them did go to overtime. So I did take just a tiny little bite on the plus 416 draw with the
Yeah,
Panthers
at
and the
that kind of
Blackhawks
price is worth it.
at that
Yeah.
kind of price. Yeah, small, just because of that. Ryan, what do you think here of this one? Wild Sens.
I do really like that look that Alex gave with Bet MGM. I'm gonna have to hop on that as well. I kind of lean under in this game. It looks like the Ottawa's been an under team lately. 12 of the last 14 games have been unders, as well as 4 of the last five times these teams have played. It's been an under. So I definitely lean the under, and I really like that look that Alex gave. I'm gonna hop on that at Bet MGM as well with that those plus money bets.
That's a really good approach Alex has got with this game. I like that and the same game parlay is a beautiful thing. You could really, make some creative ways to get more value, a better price, and actually tilt the scales and the odds in your favor as well, all in one fell swoop. And I think that's what Alex is doing here with this game. So that is one of the many Hockey Night in Canada games tonight. What they always do is they split up the country, no, they don't split up the country. They put them on different networks. There's all the Sportsnet channels. There's CBC and there's City TV, coast to coast in Canada, that show Saturday night Hockey Night in Canada games. So they'll put one game on City TV, they'll put one game on CBC, and then the Sportsnets will have Toronto Edmonton for sure. And I'm sure CBC as well. And then Minnesota Ottawa will be on City TV, and maybe Winnipeg Washington will be on Sportsnet 360, or that's how they do it. Yeah.
That's a novel idea. Why can't we do that in the States? Why can't we have a night with ESPN, ESPN2, True TV, and TNT all showing games? Yeah. That only happens during the playoffs. Like, why can't we have that on a regular season on a Thursday night, even if it's late heading toward the playoffs? I don't understand why national networks don't understand. With college football on a Saturday, you can watch 10 games at once. But for some reason, hockey, we can only show one game at a time. I don't understand it.
No, it's ridiculous. Totally absurd. I agree. That's the one that, like I said, I don't like the Hockey Night in Canada studio component like I do TNT.
Right.
But still, just the way that they put multiple games on different networks, coast to coast, no blackouts in Canada on Saturday nights is good. And that's the one thing Rogers has gotten right with the NHL deal, using all the channels that they own, and they own a fuck ton of them, all the Sportsnet, CBC, City TV. We're going to put a game on all of them. All the Canadian teams. If you want to watch Ottawa tonight, you can watch them. If you want to watch Toronto, Edmonton tonight, you can watch it. If you want to watch Winnipeg, Washington tonight, which is one of the Hockey Night in Canada games, all Canadian teams, you can watch it. And obviously Detroit, Calgary is the late game tonight on Hockey Night in Canada. So there you go. You can watch all of them if you want. Coast to coast, no blackouts. Pretty simple. That's the one good thing about the way Hockey Night in Canada does it, for sure. And even Tim can appreciate that, right? Tim's always a Goose, our guy, talking about the blackouts. And you don't have to worry about that shit tonight, Goose. Every game coast to coast, obviously, as you know, with Hockey Night in Canada, including this game. Obviously, make a case it's the game of the night. Leafs and Oilers. We've got Edmonton minus 160, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Toronto, 3-game losing streak. One of those deals against Minnesota where, credit to the Wild. They defended extremely well, couldn't score. And scoring's been an issue for Toronto. They have just scored 1 goal in each of their last 3 games. The losses against, Columbus, Ottawa, Minnesota. The offense is dried up. They just can't score right now at the moment. And injuries have hurt in this 3-game losing streak to the Jackets, Sens, and Wild. They've obviously been missing some important players. 2 of them in particular, and both of them are returning to the lineup tonight for the Leafs to begin this 4-game road trip before the Four Nations face-off break. Matthew Knies is back. John Tavares is back. Huge. Tavares was playing very well before his injury, and Matthew Knies was just a machine, playing at that kind of level before he got injured. So to get both of them back is a significant boost to this struggling Toronto offense. It should definitely give them a better chance to find a little more offensive success. And all the quotes from Berube, get our offense going, shoot the puck more. Having Matthew Knies and John Tavares back, he said, is going to help. We hope getting those 2 guys back in the lineup gets our 5-on-5 scoring back, gets our power play to be better. So no doubt, huge boosts, those 2 guys returning. Matthew Knies is going to return to his familiar spot with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. John Tavares back between Nylander and Pacioretty on the second line. And so big big boosts to the Toronto lineup here for this game tonight. Meanwhile, Edmonton, it looked like they were going to get another victory the way the game started against Detroit, but credit to the Red Wings. They roared back, and they came all the way back and won in a shootout, 3-2 over the Oilers, snapping their 3-game win streak. So credit to the Red Wings there. The Oilers had 47 shots. They didn't play terrible. Alex Lyon played a pretty good game, actually, in net. So I think it's one of those situations where even though they lost, they weren't horrible. Detroit was opportunistic, and, Alex Lyon had a really good game. Turned aside, 45 of 47 Edmonton shots in that game. So you have Edmonton off a loss. I'm not crazy about that. I was hoping Edmonton would win. This would be an even stronger bet for me in this game. But the one thing I've talked about, and I remember the last time Toronto was on a 3-game losing streak, they played the New Jersey Devils, and I took Toronto that night, and I said, this team has not lost 4 in a row all season. They won in overtime against the Devils 4-3 to avoid their first 4-game losing streak of the season. We are in that same situation tonight. The Leafs, 3-game losing streak. They have not dropped 4 games in a row yet this season. And if they lose tonight, it would be the first time it happens. I'm saying it's not going to happen, and we're getting value. We're getting a plus money price with a team that's going to have Nyes and Tavares back in the lineup. I'm taking Toronto here, plus 140 to keep it rolling, and once again, avoid a 4-game losing streak, something that has not happened this season. And I like the first period full game over as well. Over by Fekta. Edmonton's on a nice little first period over heater of late. The fact that the Leafs get Nyes and Tavares back is huge for their offense. All the talk is we need to get our offense going. That's good for over bettors, in my opinion, in this game. It's 8 straight first period overs, by the way, for the Edmonton Oilers. So first period over 1.5, full game over 6.5, Toronto money line. We like all 3 in this game. Alex, Leafs Oilers.
Yeah, I'm just going with that Edmonton first period over trend. So I went over 1.5, laid minus 134. Anything up to 140, I'd play pregame. Otherwise, I would look for a couple minutes into the contest, and I still might sprinkle something live in game as well. But just keeping it simple with first period over.
No. All right, I like it. 8 straight. So definitely on that. First over by Fekta as well, but definitely that first period over. Really like that. And on Toronto, don't like seeing that Skinner, who's probably going to be in net for the Oilers, is 10-1 off a loss in his last 11, but make it 10-2 tonight off a loss, because, like I say, Toronto, I just love how this sets up. They get 2 big players back. They've heard about how they can't score. They get away from the friggin' nonsense in Toronto. They get on the road. They bond as a team. They know there's a big 4 games to try to get on a good run again going. And they know Florida's taken first place from them in the Atlantic Division, too. So it's a big road trip. Start of it tonight. I certainly like how the spot sets up for the Leafs. Now you got to go out and get it done. Ryan, what do you think here? Toronto, Edmonton.
Yeah, I sort of lean Leafs, especially they're not going to want to lose 3 in a row, 4 in a row, whatever it is. I think it's a good spot for them. I think getting Nyes back is going to give them that offensive boost that you touched on. I hopped in on the first period over last night before it moved minus 135 range. I think both these teams obviously have the firepower to put up some goals early, so I really like that. I do lean Toronto, as I mentioned. I'm not sure if I want to take them, given that how good Skinner has been in his last 11 off of a loss. So could definitely see him having a solid game. I do like Toronto team total over 2.5 goals, minus 150. It's a little bit juiced, but it's kind of a safer play for me. Don't know if I want to trust Toronto fully to win the game, but I can definitely see him getting to 3 goals. So those are the only 2 pregame that I like, is the first period over and that Toronto team total, as well as I do like some nice props with him coming back in the lineup. I think he could find the back of the net. So I'm going to be looking for that.
Hungry Nyes, 1 goal from you, Anna. Yeah, definitely. I could see Matthew Nyes, and look, they are so happy to have him back. He was just playing incredible, before his injury. So having him back is big. Tavares has had a good offensive season, so to have them back is significant here for the hopes of this Leaf team, and trying to restart and reboost and reboot this offense for them, which has obviously sputtered with just the 1 goal in each of their last 3 games. And yes, Joe Woll, Stuart Skinner is the projected goalie matchup. Neither one confirmed, though, as of yet. All right, we move along. New York Islanders, Tampa Bay Lightning. We've got Tampa Bay minus 165 home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Do I actually consider betting the Islanders here because they are on a roll? They're playing good hockey. Tampa Bay is always Tampa Bay. I'm telling you, they're not really on their top of their game right now. And I know they beat the Kings and they played pretty well the other night in that game, and it was a solid performance all around. Vasilevsky gets the shutout, but they're still having trouble finishing offensively. They got stuck on 3 goals. One of them, I think, was an empty netter. It's not like they are filling up the net. They've only scored 4 goals in their last 3 games combined. Not exactly what you want to see right now from this Tampa Bay team offensively. Like I said, Islanders have won 6 in a row. You could argue that some of them have been weaker teams like San Jose, but some of them have been good teams. They beat Columbus, who have obviously had a surprisingly good season. Carolina, Colorado. There's some good wins in that mix too for the Islanders. Tampa Bay and the Islanders, they played each other 3 times last year, 2-1 for Tampa. The one concern I do have is in Tampa. Tampa's won 5 straight. 5 straight versus the New York Islanders. So it's not a building that's been very kind to the New York Islanders in the past. So I might sprinkle on the draw. I actually lean Islanders, but I don't know. The moment I start to buy in, I could see them losing. Just knowing how this team infuriates me sometimes. But right now, I think the difference for the New York Islanders is they're getting outstanding goaltending. They have given up 2 goals or less in every game during this 6-game win streak. That's been impressive. Most of those starts have been Sorokin, who's turned things around. I think he's had his best stretch of hockey all year for the Islanders in net. Vasilevsky's confirmed for them. They do have Cirelli maybe not playing tonight. Anthony Cirelli, game time decision for the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. Anthony Duclair is out for the Islanders, so he's injured, and that's someone they rely on for offense. Noah Dobson's still out. We've seen the Islanders obviously go 5-1 to the under in their last 6, 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Believe it or not, guess who's leaning to another under? Me in this game with the Islanders and the Lightning. I'm certainly not ready to bet either of these teams as far as an over in this spot. Islanders are scoring just enough right now, but they're defending well, and Tampa Bay's their offense is dried up in recent games. So I actually lean under in this game, Islanders and Lightning. We have breaking news, Alex says.
Yep.
I'm just seeing it now. Yes, the trade is official. San Jose and Dallas. Michael Granlund and Cody C.C. Signore are on their way to the Dallas Stars from the San Jose Sharks. So a little defensive depth for Dallas and a bona fide top 6 forward for the Dallas Stars and Michael Granlund, who gets out of San Jose, a team that's rebuilding, and gets to go to a team that's contending. So you can only imagine how excited he probably is.
Yeah, and it cost Dallas a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round conditional pick in the 2025 draft. So obviously a move that needed to be made on both ends, but it's a good haul back for San Jose.
Yeah, no doubt. San Jose did good, though, to get what they got back. You're right. I like the return. But again, Dallas is not in the game of keeping prospects and picks in the cupboard. They're in the game of contending to win a Stanley Cup, and they're in a win-now mentality. And this definitely helps. Granlund helps them. That's a good move. I like that.
Is he worth a 1st, though? 1st is a tad steep. Yeah.
I've heard the draft isn't that deep as it goes on, and so
that's what I was thinking.
What is
not
the
greatest draft class in 2025?
Yeah, like the high-end top 3 picks are obviously elite, but expecting
After
Dallas
that,
to go on a
it's
playoff run.
mid-draft.
If they're picking at 28 or 30 or whatever it is, like it's
Right.
It's it's good to go all in. I'm happy with it just because I've heard the as the draft goes on, it's not that deep of a draft. And also they've shown they can hit on 2nd-round picks. So it's a difference between a 28th overall and a middle of 2nd round. So I'm fine with it. I think it's
wait,
a solid
that's
play.
the thing. Wait, so no, actually now with this trade, Dallas doesn't have a 1st or 2nd-round pick at this point. Because I was looking at that the other day when we were in our chat, I mentioned a trade with Dallas Chicago. That's why I mentioned a 2nd-round pick. Dallas doesn't have a 2nd round for 25. So as of right now, no 1st or 2nd-round picks for the Stars in 25 at all. And I think they're down to 1 3rd-round pick. So
yeah, it's clearly a win now mode. They're not too worried about those picks that wouldn't be there for 3-4 years or whatever it is. So I'm happy with it.
Maybe more contending teams will do that if this is a weaker draft class. Maybe we will see more contenders, be willing to ship off the 2025, first round, the second round, top round picks.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great move by Jim Nill. He obviously has a lot of cap space, so I think it's a solid play. He's been a stud in San Jose, and they've struggled. Obviously, imagine what he can do in Dallas with the depth they have. So I think it's a good play for them, and I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, CC's just a throw. CC's, just gives them a little depth. I'm not a big Cody CC fan, but like I said, he's going to give them a little depth. Granlund's the marquee piece that they coveted in that deal with San Jose. Ryan, what do you think here with the New York Islanders and Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I was sorry before we got off on that tangent. I do like Tampa Bay in the spot. I know their offense has dried up a little bit, but I do think that Tampa, has a solid game tonight at home. So I do like their puck line -1.5 at +150, and I look for Kucherov to have a solid night as well. So I might take a chance with him. I see him at 2+ goals is +1100. So I'm going to take a shot with that as well.
All right, good stuff. There we go. Islanders and Lightning. That's a good stat by Landon with Kyle Palmieri. A lot of success for him against Tampa Bay. See if he's able to continue that here tonight. All right, we got just a few games. It's weird to have a Saturday card in single digits as far as number of games, but I like how they balanced it this weekend. 9 today and 9 tomorrow. All right, we've got Winnipeg and Washington. Next up, we've got pretty much even money here, -110 on both sides, 5.5 the total. Capitals off a loss. That's all I need to say. It's just I do not go against this team off a loss. They've been that good. What's the record? Something like 19-3 or something. It was just something spectacular. Pretty damn close to that, I know, off the top of my head. But they've been automatic off a loss. And look, the loss against Ottawa, 5-4 in overtime. Lindgren was in net. Now you're going to go back to the guy that's been absolutely lights out, Logan Thompson. Winnipeg's great. Winnipeg's been rolling. They're playing great. Not easy to fade Winnipeg, but Washington off a loss has just been absolute a machine. And so you don't get them -110, even money at home very often, and off a loss to boot. So I'm on the Caps here, -110. I would look toward the under here too. I think how can you bet overs with Logan Thompson starts right now? He's been absolutely terrific. Washington had a 10-game under streak snapped against Ottawa, but that was Lindgren in net. You're back to Thompson, who's been 2 goals or less allowance type of goaltender now for a very long time. Hellebuck should get the start for Winnipeg. We're still without Barron and Lowry, by the way, for the Winnipeg Jets. So, like I said, Washington 14-2 in their last 16 games off a loss. So it's a Caps and under for me. Alex, what do you think here? Winnipeg, Washington.
Yeah, I'm on the Caps here too. Like I said, this kind of price, especially at home, is a big time game. You got 2 top tier teams. You've got 2 top tier goaltenders going against each other. And I mentioned it on Twitter too. If you haven't bet Logan Thompson to win the Vezina already, he's still around +2,200 at FanDuel, the highest price I'm seeing. Now's the time to grab it, because if he can get a win here, a convincing win, maybe even a shutout win against Hellebuck and the Jets, that would loom large. Those numbers would be gone. Any double-digit prices, I think at this point will be cut, and we'll start seeing this get a lot closer. I'm seeing now -1450 to -1800 for Hellebuck, where that was -2500 a week ago. So the gap is closing. This will definitely help. So give me the Caps here on the money line and grab those Logan Thompson Vezina futures ASAP.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been, wow. I mean, what else can you say? And you know what? Hellebuck's had a terrific season, too. This should be a great goaltending matchup with these two. But I think when you look at Thompson right now, who is on a 6-start win streak entering this game. He's 23-2-4 this season, 2.05 goals against, 927 save percentage. He's going to come into this game and see that I'm facing a guy that's going to the fucking Four Nations face-off to represent his country, and I'm not. He's too good of a guy to say anything, and he's been great when he's been asked about this. He's been taking the high road, modest, just saying, you know what, really haven't thought about it too much. I call bullshit on that. He's thought about it. He knows that this was an egregious gaffe and mistake by Canada to omit him from the roster with the season he's having. It's probably, like I said, fuels him that, hey, I'm facing a guy that's going to the Four Nations face-off. I've got numbers that are just as good as him, if not better, and I'm not. Watch him want to go out there
And here's the thing.
prove it again.
Here's the that's another part of the equation why I like Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson's going to have these 2 weeks off coming up soon. Hellebuck's going to be playing at least 1 or 2, 3 more games. You also have in the fact that Hellebuck has already played 41 games this year. We're talking about a guy who's logged the most minutes of just about any goalie in the last 4 years, 5 years amongst goaltenders. The Jets, if they cruise away with the Central, which they're not really facing too much competition, other than Dallas and maybe Colorado in that mix. But if they can get to a point where they can put it on cruise control in that division, they're going to start resting him in some games. You have to. You can't afford for him to get overworked and tired like they did last postseason. So I think the inside track, for many reasons, belongs to Logan Thompson.
Yeah. This should be, like I say, great game. Look, Winnipeg's rolling 5 in a row. Not easy to fade them, but Washington off a loss. Washington's actually beaten Winnipeg 5 straight times here in Washington. This has not been a place where the Jets have enjoyed much success over the years. Ryan, what do you think here, Jets, Capitals?
Yeah, I kind of like the draw in this game. Winnipeg has been hot, obviously. They are on a bit of a road trip. They were in, I think it was Boston and Montreal. Washington has been incredible, bouncing back off a loss. So there is that. And I do agree with the angles that you guys just gave on Logan Thompson. So I do I'm going to sprinkle the draw a little bit here. I lean towards the under, and I do think Washington bounces back. So yeah, I'm taking a small chance on the draw. And then I honestly might parlay. I got to see what the value is, but take Washington with the under in this game. Small shot on that just to increase the value. But it's a good game. I'm excited to watch it. And I mean, I could see it going either way. Both these teams are solid teams. So it's going to be fun to watch as a fan.
How do we not bet Pierre-Luc Dubois here as well for the Washington Capitals? I mean, you down with PLD? Yeah, you know me. He got to be fired up for this game. He got to be chomping at the bit here. He always often is when he faces any of his former teams, and of course this is one of them here, the Winnipeg Jets. So I like some PLD here tonight for the Washington Capitals. Protas, McMichael, we always talk about them. It's because their value in their props, and they often produce. Wilson, certainly for them. For Winnipeg, I would just stick with Kyle Connor, Gabe Velarde, maybe a little Cole Perfetti. Those 3 guys have been very good for them lately. All right, Nashville and Pittsburgh. We've got the Nashville Predators back-to-back for them after their loss in Buffalo last night. Predators minus 120, road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this one. Penguins, of course, dealing away Marcus Pettersson, defenseman, to the Vancouver Canucks. And this was already a thin-ass defense as far as quality defense. They don't have many quality defenders. Marcus Pettersson, when he's on his game, is a quality defender. And now you don't have him if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I'm looking at this blue line. You got Matt Grzelcyk, who's had a banged up, up and down more season. Chris Letang, best days behind, especially defensively. Erik Karlsson, a nightmare defensively. Ryan Graves, not physical enough, in my opinion. Ryan Shea and Pierre-Olivier Joseph. That's a very weak blue line, very weak. And it was already not great, and now you get rid of Pettersson. So where are the defenders on that blue line? Where are the plus defenders on that Pittsburgh Penguins defense core? I don't see it right now for them. Alex Nedeljkovic confirmed in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's supposed to be a UC Saros start for them because we saw, obviously, useless Onanen last night. We got to call him that because he did lose against the Buffalo Sabres last night. UC Saros supposed to get the start, but he's got an illness. Wasn't available last night, and we'll see if he's available tonight. Matthew Murray, has been called up as the backup goaltender, and he might start if UC Saros is not back tonight, because I don't think they're going to put Onanen in there on a back-to-back. It could be Matthew Murray, so keep an eye on this as to who the goaltender will be for Nashville here in this game tonight. It's Nashville on a back-to-back, but there's no chance I take Pittsburgh after trading away Pettersson and off a road trip, and there's just no way I'm taking Pittsburgh in this spot, so by default it's Nashville or nothing, but I'm not running the lay minus 120 when I don't even know who that damn goaltender is going to be for the Nashville Predators. And they've lost 3 in a row as well. So this is definitely first period over for me, 100%. Nashville's a streaking first period over team right now. After last night's game against Buffalo, that's now 7 straight first period overs that have cashed for the Nashville Predators. I think we'll see a good chance to see another first period over for them tonight. Like I said, actually 6 straight, I should say, first period overs now for Nashville. So I like first period over. I am going to take it's an over by Fecta. I'm going to take the full game over, but I definitely like the first period over more than the full game here in this one. That's about it. First period over and a smaller full game over in a bifecta form here with the Preds and the Penguins. Alex, what do you think here? Nashville, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and keep in mind that's Matt Murray. That's Matthew Murray, who was the former Dallas prospect, not the former Penguins goalie going against his old team. So that angle would not be in play if he is in net. But like I said, I like the first period over as well. That's just something rolling with right now. Nashville's one of those teams, like I said, just like Edmonton, it's like Chicago. When we see it and it's at a fair and reasonable price within $1.40 or cheaper, we'll go over in the first period. So that's pregame bet for me. I won't be adding anything on extra in this.
No doubt. We'll probably be on the air for a good portion of this Chicago-Florida first period, so we can have a group, not a full bet cast, but we can cheer on together this first period over here. For
maybe add a little plus money. I'll probably add a little plus money in while we're on the show.
Go. Exactly, because we still got probably another 15, 20 minutes to go. So we'll be on for at least the first half of the first period. So let's root this thing home together as a group here on the Ice Guys show. What do you think here, Ryan? Nashville, Pittsburgh?
I lean Nashville. I don't love either of these teams. I'm not betting Pittsburgh ever. And both of these teams have kind of been a dumpster fire at times defensively. So I really like that first period over. I hopped on that last night around -135, I believe. I think it's solid value. There's a chance to be goals early, just given, these teams aren't the most defensively sound. There's goaltending questions, all that stuff. So I like the first period over, and I definitely lean Nashville. But that is it for me in terms of pregame.
Yeah, as far as goal props here in this game here, holy shit. Unbelievable. Blackhawks 7 seconds into the game are up 1-0. That's our
Hawks first goal.
Period. Yeah.
Wow. That's
what
amazing.
What Bob doing there? Bob's your uncle on that one. No, Slaggert. He's starting to heat up that kid. For Chicago. Yeah.
Real
Landon
nice.
Slaggert. He went in on it, and he just beat Florida to the puck off the face-off. The puck just came rolling into the Florida zone off the face-off, and Slaggert just beat 2 Panthers to the puck and went backhand through the old wickets of Bob. Unreal. 7 seconds into the game. Wow. 1-0 Chicago. There you go. And there's the gift, just like that. The half of the gift parlay cash is just like that. GIF as well if you took it. Wow. All right, let's recap.
Hawks goal in first 10 minutes plus 225. I had that, so yeah. That was really nice.
Let's compose ourselves now and get back to business here. But as far as this game goes with Nashville, Pittsburgh, as far as goal props, I'm looking at it with Pittsburgh. Didn't Beauvillier and there's a couple I like here. I like Tomasino, Beauvillier, and Glass. These are all guys that played at some point for Nashville. Now, Beauvillier was very brief there, but Cody Glass repair, Cody Glass replace, and Philip Tomasino. They were both former members of the Predators, now with Pittsburgh. So I think goal props for them are worth a look here in this game. On the Nashville side of the equation, I've been waiting for Luke Evangelista to get his shit together and start scoring. And he finally got one last night against Buffalo. He's a guy that can get on a bit of a streaky heater right now. So, I would maybe look toward maybe Evangelista here, playing with Nyquist and O'Reilly to perhaps find the back of the net here in this game as well. John Massey had Blackhawks to score in the the first goal of the game. So nice, there you go. Everyone cashing tickets on that first goal in a lot of instances. And Florida just had a wide open net and put off the side of the net. Wow. Crazy start. Just frantic start there in Sunrise. All right, LA Kings, Carolina Hurricanes. We've got Carolina -180, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game with Kings and Hurricanes. Super system play in effect, and it's been in effect 4 times this season. And what that is teams off not 1 but 2 straight shutout losses, back-to-back shutout losses. And the results in these games are 4-0 first period over, 3-1 full game over. In fact, the loss on the full game over was the last time the super system was in effect, which was Toronto versus Ottawa, where it went over in the first period, but it flew over. It went over in the first period. It stayed under for the full game with the Leafs and the Senators. But it's 4-0 first period over, 3-1 full game over for the super system play this season. And that's in effect here. And look, this is not an easy super system play over by fecta bet to make, because the Kings offense, it's dead as a doornail right now. It's an offense that's really having a tough time generating. It's an offense that's having a really tough time finishing at the moment. Obviously, when you only score, when you get shut out in back-to-back games like they have by Florida and Tampa, and they only scored 2 goals in each of the 2 games before that against Detroit and Columbus. So there's no doubt some major offensive problems right now for the LA Kings. And now you got to play a Carolina team that's given up 2 goals in their last 2 games combined. So I know what we're up against here with the super system play. But like I said, we believe in it. I believe in it here. We're going to take it over 1.5, over 5.5, first period, full game over. And Jonathan Davis passed this stat along with the super system play. The 4 games with the super system, teams off back-to-back shutout losses, there was not just a goal in the first 10 minutes of the game. There was a goal in the first 5 minutes of the game. And he actually posted all the times of those goals that were scored. Like, we're looking at 2 minutes and 4 minutes and 3 minutes into the game, like really early. There has been the first goal of the game in the 4 previous super system play games. So if you have, definitely, I would suggest, a goal in the first 10 minutes, bet either pregame or in a parlay of some kind to get a better price, and certainly take a shot with the GIF, the GIFF, goal in first 5 minutes, which is plus money at FanDuel before every game. So make sure you take a look at that because in the 4 super system plays previous to tonight and this LA Carolina game, there was a goal in the first 5 minutes. Something to keep in mind. There it is. 3 minutes, 46 seconds has been the longest it has taken for a goal to be scored in these 4 super system plays. So not only first period over, full game over, but I'm going to go gift and GIF first period as well here with Kings and Hurricanes, which is goal in first 10, goal in first 5 minutes. Alex, what do you think here, Kings, Hurricanes?
Yes, this would be over trifecta for me, along with, like I said, the GIF and gift look. So G5, G10, I'll be adding those on in the first period along with that. Like I said, super system. And I know we got 2 spots where this is occurring today. This is the one where I will be on the over by factor within the super system. I like this one a little bit more than the other spot.
Okay, good stuff indeed. Sidewise, I'm off the side. Carolina's playing too well to go against them. LA stinks right now, but LA, I think, plays hard today. And I do want to point out, too, I think the draw actually might be worth a look. 2 of the last 3 meetings have gone past regulation. Last year in Carolina, it was 5-4 in overtime in favor of Carolina. So the draw, that's something I might do as well. I might add the draw for a small bet here, Kings and Hurricanes. Ryan, what do you think here, LA, Carolina?
I'm going to keep it short and simple. I really like Carolina in this spot. LA has been struggling lately. Their offense hasn't been there. They've been giving up, goals. Carolina, Ranson's had a few games to get in the groove and start to gel. So I really like Carolina in this spot. The only value for me, though, is 60 minutes. I like Carolina minus 110. I think it's a good spot for them at home. So I'm going to ride with that.
There we go. Good stuff indeed. Looking at what we've got here. We might have just cashed our first period over. I think Florida's tied it. Although the refs are convening, and I think Mrazek thinks he might have been interfered, so this might be looked at. But nevertheless, hold the phone here. We'll see if this is indeed going to be official or not. But as far as props go for this LA and Carolina game, be careful with the LA props. I mean, we are talking about a team that's been shut out in back-to-back games, but I do believe we're going to see certainly. I think that goal's coming back. I think Greer interfered with.
It looked like he was bumped into.
Yeah, I think that's going to come
replay.
off the board. But yeah, I think when you look at this here, Evan Rodriguez might be worth. Not I'm looking at Florida. I've got Florida on the brain. He's playing right now. L.A. Alex Turcotte. That's what I was. Alex Turcotte. Byfield's been a little bit better lately for Carolina. Rantanen obviously got his first goal. Jackson Blake, I think, still over. I think that whole line is pretty solid. Rantanen, Roslovic, Blake. I think they're all worth a look. As far as that's concerned, as far as goal props with the Hurricanes here in this game tonight. All right, we have reached our final game of this Saturday card. It is Detroit and Calgary. We've got the Calgary Flames minus 115, slight home favorites in this game. Total sitting at 5.5. Oh boy, this is the great conundrum game. There's Detroit's back on the beam again. What a great comeback for them, beating Edmonton the other night in a shootout. They've now won 4 in a row after the 3-game losing streak. They start the road trip in the right way. Now they play a Calgary team that they've owned, believe it or not. Detroit's won 5 straight versus the Calgary Flames, and I think they might be the better team as well. But it's Dustin Wolf and net. Hungry like the wolf. It's Dustin Wolf and net, and I'll be damned if I'm fading that guy at the Saddle Dome. It's that simple. Can't do it. So I'm not on Detroit because of that. I like the draw here. I think it's going to be a tight game, the chance for overtime. We saw overtime in Detroit earlier this year when these teams played back in November, 2-1. Lean under as well. And I'm not a big Detroit. I know is capable. Has been going over with McClellan, but I think with Wolf and net, he's not an over goalie by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion. With Wolf and net, that's an under or pass game for me when it comes to the total. Simple as that. So lean under, Detroit, Calgary draw. That's primarily what I'm looking at here in this one. Should be a good one, though. Red Wings are playing well. Calgary always has a chance with Wolf and net playing at a high level. So both teams need the points as well. Both teams battling for wild card playoff spots in their respective conferences. And Jonathan Davis points it out with Detroit. 0-10 combined on the front end and back end of back-to-backs. And this is the start of a back-to-back. Goal's going to count, I think. It is. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. First period over. And I grabbed some over 2.5. I know some other people did too. Over 2.5 at plus money in game right after that quick goal. So we're in good shape right now.
There it is, 1-1. So there it is. 17-2. First period over now for the Chicago Blackhawks in the last 19 games. Just unbelievable right now with that run. And it keeps on rolling. So, yeah, there we go. Under 5.5 lean and Detroit-Calgary draw for me here in this one. Alex, what do you think here? It's the only late game tonight, by the way. Detroit-Calgary.
Yeah. Unbelievable. But we'll take it to see if we have fun one to watch, and it'll be kind of a low and slow battle, I think. I'm not on the under here, but I wouldn't be going over, certainly with a Wolf home star. But I am on that draw. I grabbed plus 320 this morning. Hoping to cash another one, like I said, Calgary, keeping games tight and close with that good defense. So give me the draw here with Wings and Flames.
That being said, I said I'm not on Detroit pregame. If Calgary gets the lead, I might be tempted to take Detroit. We'll see. But because I do think Detroit, when I just look at the rosters, I think Detroit's the better option. But Calgary's going to be fired up because Calgary's going to have their new toys in the lineup tonight that they got in the trade with Philadelphia. Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee going to be making their Calgary Flame debuts more than likely here tonight. And from the look of things, Ryan Huska is going to put Farabee on the third line potentially. We don't know if this is accurate yet. This could be just RotoWire and Daily Face-Off, these sites just plugging them into a spot that they think they may play in. But we should see Farabee and Frost both make their Calgary Flames debuts tonight. And again, I like the moves. I think Frost gets a change of scenery. And I think he's a good offensive player. So is Farabee. Gives them some depth punch on the third line. So, like I say, I like these moves, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact they can make on the Calgary Flames, who are surprisingly, because no one saw this coming before the season, surprisingly in the race to be a wild card team. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Detroit, Calgary.
Yeah, I don't really have a good feel for a side here, so I'm staying off sides and totals pregame. There is a player prop that I like. Fellow Plano, Texas native Blake Coleman has had goals in 2 straight games. He had a 2-point game last game against Anaheim. He's projected on that second line. I've seen he's seen his ice time go up a little bit. He's going to get chances on the power play. So I like Blake Coleman to score a goal. I see it at plus 250, plus 260 range. So I'm going to take a shot with that.
There you go. And what's going on with maybe illness all over the place? With Schusen's been scratched from the Florida game because of illness. I'm just seeing now McDonough's been scratched from the Rangers-Bruins game, but we don't know if it's illness or what. But Mike Monaco now is stepping in and calling that game at 3:30.
It could have been travel issue too. Maybe he couldn't get in at time.
Yeah, there's been a lot of airplane issues. So he still hasn't called a game yet this season in the NHL.
Right. Wow.
Crazy. And it was some kind of incident before that kept him from opening night way back in October. So crazy stuff there. But yeah, draw for me here in this game, lean under. Like I said, I lean Detroit, but I may look to bet them live if they're trailing. That's probably the approach here for me with this game. And still the injuries are still the same. Comfort's day-to-day for Detroit. Jeff Petry's still out. And I'm going back to Casper, the friendly betting ghost. How can we not? Now, don't be fooled by the last game. He didn't score against Edmonton. He had a million chances. He really did. He could have scored a couple against the Oilers on Thursday night. So we're not abandoning ship on Marco Casper, the friendly betting ghost, as far as goal props. I think definitely he can find the back of the net here. And for Calgary, like I say, Coronado is one to keep an eye on. I said he's gonna start clicking at some point and really get on a little bit of an offensive heater because he's got that kind of skill set. Well, 3 points, 2 goals, and 1 assist against Anaheim. Maybe a sign he's going to end up getting going a little bit as well. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Ryan Robinson, great job as always. Alex, of course, as well. And a reminder, we appreciate all the signups here at patreon.com/iceguys. Keep the momentum rolling. Come on in. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. You're going to get goalie charts, totals charts, our daily Ice Guys show betting cards, sides, totals, and player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And of course, also, bonus content, articles, player suite interview series, exclusive live betcasts, only available to Patreon members, including our next one next Thursday, February 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join us on that betcast and or watch it, make sure you become a Patreon member. Just $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You get free standard shipping today and the next 5 days. Just go to the website, click on the redeem button at the homepage, put everything in your cart, and free standard shipping will be available at checkout. We've got everything in stock right now, along with some new merch items. So take advantage of this deal. Free standard shipping right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All
right, there you go. Check out the Ice Guys store, all the new gear and merch available there at the Ice Guys store. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great sponsors, including, of course, Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. I guess we got 8 games now to choose from with Chicago, Florida already off the board. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for the bargain bin special?
Yeah, I think it's the marquee game of the night. Winnipeg taking on Washington, and obviously the biggest storyline of the Capital season before the year started was going to be the chase for number 8, Alex Ovechkin, getting closer to Gretzky's record. I think he makes some strides in that tonight. I think he scores not once but twice. So give me 2 goals for grade 8, Alex Ovechkin, plus 1,000 at FanDuel. So 10-1 odds, 2 goals for number 8, Alex Ovechkin tonight. It's my Saturday bargain bin special.
There you go. A 2-goal night for the grade 8, Alex Ovechkin for the Washington Capitals, for Alex B. Smith with his Saturday bargain bin special of the night. Ryan, what do you got for us for the bargain bin special?
I'm going to go to that Toronto and Edmonton game. This guy's coming back into the lineup. I think it's going to give his team a boost. And he's playing with some pretty talented players. So give me Matthew Nyes anytime goal, plus 340, plus 350 range. I'm seeing you could shop around. But, yeah, give me Matthew Nyes anytime goal tonight for Toronto against the Oilers.
There we go. I mean, this Chicago team is running around like crazy here. I mean, this is the most deceiving 1-1 score you'll ever see. I mean, they're just fucking running around like crazy. And, well, you knew that was going to happen eventually. 2-1 Panthers. What is it, 18-2, the shots? Yeah.
Yep.
And one of them went in for Chicago, one of the 2, yeah.
Yeah. Over 2.5 now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's just been they've been hemmed in like crazy here. All right, my bargain bin special of the night for this Saturday slate. Oh man, there's a lot of good options here to choose from, no doubt. And I'm just trying to see, will I go for? Yeah, I'm going to go for 2 here. 2 bargain bin specials. I could have gone for 3 too, because I like Nyes quite a bit too at that price. Worth a look. The only thing I'm concerned about with Nyes is sometimes that first game back, you don't score, and it takes you a game or 2 to get back into the rhythm again. But I still like that price with Matthew Nyes. But I'm going for 2 other ones as my bargain bin special of the night. You know, with PLD, yeah, you know me. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Washington Capitals, plus 375 against one of his old teams. He always gets up to play a former team. Kings, Jets, Bantam team, Pee Wee team, doesn't matter. If he played for them, he'd get up to play them if he used to play on a certain organization. Pierre-Luc Dubois plus 375, and it is uncanny how often he scored against one of his former teams in the past. So Pierre-Luc Dubois for Washington plus 375, and we're going back to the well one more time with, even though the last game he didn't score, Marco Kasper, the friendly betting ghost, plus 400. Great price again. Had a million chances again, not a million, but he had a bunch of chances against Edmonton. Easily could have had one. So Marco Kasper one more time for Detroit plus 400. Some of those Penguins are worth a look too. They're good bargain bin candidates. Tomasino and Cody Glass and some of those former Predators that are playing for the Penguins. So those are good ones as well as far as bargain bin candidates. But officially, we'll give you 2. PLD for Washington and Marco Kasper for Detroit. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like here for Saturday best bet?
Yeah, let's go with that Kings Hurricanes first period over 1.5. You can get that minus $1.05. That's part of, like I said, the super system with the back-to-back shutouts. Of course, with LA, they've been struggling. I think they will be able to help the cause getting over in that first period. So first period over with Kings and Canes, minus 105. That's my Saturday best bet.
There you go. Liking that. Kings Hurricanes, first period over. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. A lot of good goal props there from Jonathan Davis, who's a lot of his research and bets goes based on success a player has had against a specific goaltender. So definitely a lot of the Bobby McMahon. We've had Bobby McMahon as a bargain bin special in the past. You'll know I'll never say that's not worth a look taking Bobby McMahon. That's for sure. As one of those, no doubt. All right, Ryan, best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, I really liked that first period over. That's one that I had circled. But I also like that Nashville-Pittsburgh first period over, minus 135. Nashville, it is their dad's trip. They are on a back-to-back, so maybe sloppy early, but they are on a hot run. I think they're 8-2 in their last 10 the first period over. So Pittsburgh hasn't been great defensively either, and I think it's a solid spot for this. So give me the Nashville-Pittsburgh first period over, minus 135. That's my best bet.
There you go. Can't go wrong with a team that's on a 6-game over streak in the first period, and that is Nashville. So Nashville-Pittsburgh, first period over 1.5 for Ryan Robinson with his best bet, and you can find that at looks like minus. Let me just see here. There we go. Minus 130 or so with that first period over. All right, my best bet. Totals are what I would say 80%, if not more, of my best bets are totals. I don't do as many sides, but I'm doing a side for best bet tonight, and we're going for an underdog. And this team has not lost 4 in a row yet. They've got 2 of their better offensive players back, Nyes and Tavares. I think it's a great spot, great price. Get on the road, get the job done. They haven't lost 4 in a row yet all year. Let's go with the Toronto Maple Leafs in one of the headline matchups tonight, plus 145 against the Edmonton Oilers. I think it's worth a shot. They haven't lost 4 in a row all year. To get it done here in Edmonton, plus 145 for Toronto. Best bet for my bargain bin special, or not my bargain bin, my best bet for this Saturday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Ryan Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you tomorrow on Sunday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.